Welcome to Religiously Incorrect. This is Pastor Todd with my main man, Pastor Jeff.
What's happening? How y'all doing out there?
And we are here live from the Freeze 5-Star Barbershop Studios.
Back again.
This is like the new Tyler Perry backlot of Warren, Ohio.
Get faded.
Just don't make no bad movies with bad wigs, and we'll be okay. And we'll be all right. But I want to jump right into it. We have a wonderful subject matter that we're actually going to hit for the next few segments and episodes. But we're going to date ourselves. It's actually Sunday, January 26th, and we don't normally do that, but we're going to do it because it's a monumental day and date in history. Our main man, the Black Mamba, Kobe Bryant, departed this earth today.
Man, I'm trying to hold back tears right now, man.
I know you are.
Seriously, man. That was my boy. To me, just was never nobody like him and never will be anybody like him. So, big ups to his family. His daughter passed along with him.
Right.
We are just, the world is mourning. One of the things that really made me upset is how so many people are saying, how are y'all sad y'all didn't know him? Well, you don't have to know anybody to mourn for somebody.
Oh man, you don't know any of these people. Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson,
absolutely.
But
we celebrate a whole Martin Luther King Day.
I never met the dude.
Never met him.
I think I'm him now. That's kind of how it.
You reincarnated.
My wife made a comment, about it, like, and how they make these so quick. And she's not like a super techie person. She don't get how app Photoshop, you got your little tributes, you put a wings on a brother, all that kind of stuff. But it's the way we connect with somebody that we're not directly, attached to, but they've impacted us.
Absolutely.
And I'm not even a fan like that. Like, I have totally spaced out on basketball for a grip after Jordan retired. As that teenager, was more into the football scene. And when Shaq and Kobe was just knocking out them rings and all, I wasn't even really paying attention, to be honest. But his shadow is cast over the world, and it's almost a shame. My kids asking me who
wow,
who's. I'm like, listen, like between Jordan and LeBron,
there was Kobe.
It's Kobe, and often he gets kind of sandwiched between that argument and that era. But you're the Lakers fan, man.
Huge Lakers fan, huge Kobe fan. And if they want to ask about Kobe, I tell them to ask my son, because he's going to tell you everything. I mean, everything I say, everything I've done, every jersey, just the guy was just phenomenal. I mean, he was the assassin, the Mamba, the Black Mamba. He literally changed. I wouldn't say he changed the game, but he elevated what Michael had already done.
Right.
And he he just took it over, even after the loss of getting rid of Shaq. He just, still elevated, still went on to win 2 more championships, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, he did.
And the funny thing, one of my most funny memories is after he won that championship, and they said, well, Kobe, you won another one, how do you feel? And his first words was, one more than Shaq.
Wow.
One more than Shaq.
So he brought the petty to.
He was petty.
He brought the petty.
They
to
both was petty.
But, well, they was through it.
But
even that relationship, you can't imagine, like, you have that tension and all that, but that doesn't, dismiss the true love between two people.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm sure. I can't imagine how he's feeling.
Absolutely.
The teammates, his wife and children are left behind. Excellent. All the images we saw was of an excellent father. And the way he embraced his daughters, and to, go through such a horrific, and the other victims as well. Now they're saying there were 9 people total.
Wow.
Not the original 5. So, I know it's a dated story, but that's something that it's historic.
It's historic.
I don't mind if you hit back 2 years and you hear us talking about this, because you know what? That's the kind of thing that needs to be recorded
all the time,
and on all platforms.
I know I won't ever leave it. And, for those who have the hate, what he got in trouble for, we all got some dirt. Come on, man. I say it all the time. Don't be so petty as to, throw dirt on somebody else or be a flower in a garden talking down about the dandelions when we all grew from dirt.
That's it,
So
man.
everybody got
That's
some
a sermon.
issues. Everybody made some
I
mistakes.
thought we were supposed to preach on here.
He made some, but he was a phenomenal basketball player. Could nobody do what he done. And I'm gonna say this for everybody out there: LeBron may be the man in basketball, but LA will always be Kobe City.
I believe that. I will
Yeah.
say that. It will always be Kobe. You're right about that. It'll always be Kobe City. So, rest in peace to our brother.
Yes, sir.
Icon. You always hear about these generations. Other people lose, like Roberto Clemente or different things like John Lennon.
Right.
You got to have your own to truly
Absolutely
understand.
Absolutely.
So that's where we're at. So Jeff, if you don't mind, take us into what we want to sort of tackle today.
Well, we are.
Oh, that's that old school Fox.
Al
Bundy. Al Bundy, high school football star.
5 touchdowns in one.
In one game, correct. And that was my joint. When I
Oh
was
my
young.
God, I loved it.
Fox used to be so edgy, like just dirty, edgy.
Absolutely, and I don't think every man in the world
Listen, I
probably
already know
has
what
some
you're about
type
to
of
say,
dream about Christina Applegate.
I think that's my first white girl crush. So we talking about
love and marriage.
Love and marriage.
Marriage.
Yeah. So what's our crux here? What do you want to pose?
Well, I mean, let's talk. Let's just start off and let's just talk about, has the dating game changed? Has relationships changed? How do we feel? How do we feel about what's going on in dating game now?
I think it starts with Jeff. I think it starts with the concept of love. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of that was based off this ideal, at least in our society, that, we grew up as a classic. We're still old enough to remember growing up off of classic TV shows and like those just images, man. We grew up, a classic song was, I Got Sunshine on a Cloudy Day, Temptations type stuff, dating, drinking milkshakes out of the same straw and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So it's like the end game was supposed to be finding love, and of course, love and marriage go together like a horse and carriage. Or what's the other one? Getting married and going to the chapel, and I'm going to get married. That's sort of like the ideal, and it was hokey and old fashioned when we were coming up.
Right.
But it was still the dominant ideal.
Right.
So. Really, it's like, what are individuals' view of love? Like, where are we trying to get to? Because we talk about dating, people are like just dating, hooking up. We can talk about hookups, and I mean, it went from one night stands as being just like, you don't even know what people are anymore, and they don't either. So it's like, has love changed? Like, did the definition shift? Expectations? I would say perhaps people have changed and become more, and I hate to say it since we were talking about tragedy, but I think that the more we see ugliness in our world, the more the ideals of our minds and hearts kind of rip down, and it becomes more of a you only live once, might as well go for it. You see enough failures, you see enough tragedy, you see enough of the ideal kind of getting poked at.
Right.
So people just like go for it while you got it, while you can get it. When we see enough people get divorces, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, some other time. You see the perfect images kind of being ripped apart. I mean, come on, man. We got the Huxtables, man. Bill is in jail. I mean, Bill is in straight up.
And Felicia's the enemy.
Man, Felicia's killing folk in Tyler Perry movies. So I think the nature, like, if you can't talk about dating, talk about marriage and commitments, unless you talk about how have we shifted in our ideal and understanding of what love is between two people,
Darius Miles said in Love Jones, he said that, wasn't Darius Miles, was that his name? I don't know. Anyway, y'all know who I'm talking about, Lorenz Tate.
Yeah, sure
said that people don't fall out of love, they fall out of expectations. And I think so often we've lowered the expectations so far when it comes to love and when it comes to marriage and when it comes to relationship. The low expectations have become lower to the point where, it's not the man having to ask the girl anymore.
Oh yeah.
It's completely flip-flopped. Girls are doing their one-night stands as much as men are now.
Yeah.
I see more girls on Facebook posting raunchy, is if that's the right word, I want to say raunchy pics, then I see
Oh yes,
men.
Stuff that would not be for public consumption at any
Absolutely.
other time. And I mean, this is not the closet. I'm a minister. I can't see this. I just feel like that's just unnecessary as a man. It's
Right.
like I don't care what kind of freakadeek you are somewhere else. It's like I don't need to see your diagram about oral sex and how you want it or this, that, and the other. Or I mean, it's just over the top. And I think you're right. Like the expectations have changed. Old movie American Beauty that came out, and you got the suburban dad with the perfect life, like lusting after a teenage girl.
Right.
And when you start breaking down barriers of norms, and the crazy thing is, it was always there. It just wasn't accepted
Right.
for you to verbalize. I never want to get married. I just want to try to not get STD, or I never, I mean, we literally have teenagers talking about how many bodies they got.
Absolutely.
I only got 5. I'm like, serious?
And it said, my wife always said that, and I don't know how true it is, but I think it is that, a man, you can take away from the body count because they're going to always try to exaggerate how many women they had.
Okay.
And woman, you can always add 2.
Oh, you can always add 2? Okay.
Now, I don't know how true it is,
Well,
but.
if it's coming from your wife, as far as, I don't mean.
Right.
I'm about to get beat up on religiously incorrect. No, I'm just saying if it's coming from a female,
Right.
they're going to be honest about, the quirks and stuff that we as dumb men don't always see. I mean, they know how to be more discreet sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And we're starting to lose that. Some of these females with social media and all, I mean, they'll just tell you, I blankly blanked last night with Bill, and I'm headed over to Bob's house right now. What you going to do? Who going to check me, boo?
Who gonna check?
Yeah, I mean, so.
Right.
So the expectation, I think, is important because the expectation used to be try to create the ideal life of stability, and safety, and it was found here.
Absolutely.
It was found here. You date somebody, and you at least put on the appearance of trying to be chaste, especially if you're a female. Brothers can be doggish, but they at least had to have some respect about how they do. You can't just be outright raunchy and all this. I mean, we are literally. It's just pictures on a cell phone now, man. I don't even want to know what females get in their inboxes.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, some of them, you'll see a lot. I'm about to post it because I done told y'all. My man and said.
I don't know. I think some of them be lying though, because they don't ever post nothing, man. As messy as these people are,
and then you look at the people.
We hate. Yeah, I'm like, I'm sending you nothing. But you look at as messy as we are about exposing. You be wondering, are you really? Because if you had it. With the type of character in the world that we live in, I feel like we see a lot more. So
Absolutely.
Get back to that exaggeration thing. Even sort of the pursuit and the perceived pursuit can be exaggerated. Everybody wants to swear up and down they got all this going on.
Right.
But the overall picture for me is that leave it to Beaver, Huxtable family model as the ideal. That's what you're chasing. The expectation is no longer the default. It's no longer the automatic. And some people, can't blame them, are thinking, hey, I've watched people who I love dearly invest in that and watch it all fall apart. I mean, then we came up on movies like Waiting to Exhale and, you're burning cars and, what happens when you devote yourself to someone and they walk away with everything. They leave you destitute. That woman that gave, 30 years of good years of her life to some man who's now chasing after some little whatever.
Absolutely.
So that ideal has been crushed. It's been crushed by the generation we expect to give it to us. Secrets have been exposed about, a facade of love and stability that really wasn't there. And I think that it's come crashing down. So we all know that there's a toxic love culture.
Right.
It's not can't even call it love, but there's a toxic definition of love culture. But you cannot blame it on the culture that is now walking in it. You have to look at how do we get to this place.
I mean, you can go back and you can, we went way back when we dealt with love and marriage and all that stuff. But, even back to 92 when you had Jodeci, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
So you having my baby, and it meant so, Boys to Men, although we've come to the end of the road. Those were, what was the other guy who said, I'll give you the sun, the rain.
Right.
Like, did you know God personally? How you give him
None of that.
How you give him? But now
me and the creator were talking, and I just wanted to borrow the sun for a night.
But now, you have, people like Trey Songz talking about the neighbors know my name.
Oh, right. Right.
That's a whole different.
Yeah.
That's
Man.
somebody else got you singing a cappella. All these songs are about sex. It's not about love.
It's not. Like I said, all these little innocent. And it's funny because there would be like little hints and little, risque in that old. But like now they're just like vagina, penis. It's just like medical terms. It's like, am I joking though?
You are not.
It's like immediate, right in your face. Medical. So I think that you combine, and you can't put love and relationships in a vacuum. The world is more toxic. People are more callous. People are more, greedy. More people are trying to get in on the game that they feel they've been left out of.
Right.
They've seen people who have their cake and eat it too. While you're talking about the young lady or the guy that's got multiple partners, babies by multiple partners, we're not talking about the guy in the 60s, or the 70s who was stopping by one family before he come home from the steel mill, before he go to his real family,
right.
And so now it's just generally accepted. You know how it gets accepted? People start dying, and you got to figure out whose name to put in the bulletins and all this kind of stuff. And then, those things start to pile up, and now we're on this side. And so people have changed, and it's us who create that definition of love.
Exactly.
And I guess the question for me is, what we're seeing now, what do you call it if it's not love?
The funny thing is, a lot of them do call it love. A lot of them do call it love, and I mean, I don't.
What do thoughts call it? I mean, what do you?
But I've always been one who, I put myself out there and things that I've been through. So, for a long time, I literally would, get upset with my mother because of what she allowed to happen in the household.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I couldn't understand for the life of me, why do you put up with what you put up with? I remember and recall, my stepfather bringing another baby, and my mother actually raised this baby. And she's my sister. I love her to death. I grew up with her. She's my sister, although she was, outside of and they never were married.
Right.
But, back then they called it common law marriage. It was
common law. I can't tell my grandparents.
We've been together 7 years. You are common law marriage.
For like 60 years, my grandparents.
But, and you couldn't tell them they weren't. But the fact of the matter is you allowed that. And so, so even when this guy would beat on her, and they would get into arguments and fights, and me and my brothers would be in the house going through this. We couldn't understand why you stayed with this person, and and once again, I know y'all hate preachy stuff, but I didn't understand, until you really figured out, the book of Corinthians 13, right?
Mm-hmm.
The love chapter, that love hopeth all things and love endureth all things.
Desperately.
Right.
Desperate, dire, make no sense levels.
Absolutely. So you kept on hoping that the next day he wasn't going to hit you again. You kept on enduring what you was going through because of a lack of self-esteem, or a thought that this was actually love.
Okay, so you're talking about one type of circumstance that deals with a woman hopelessly desiring the ideal while living in the exact opposite.
Absolutely.
How about a mutual culture? No one side, like you said earlier, is really victimizing the other.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is commonly participating in the same cesspool of shared partners. It went from, it's almost like the vows. Like when we think of vows, we used to say stuff like to have and to hold,
mm-hmm.
You and you only from this day forward. Now we have like those who know, understand, you understand our vibe.
What's spoken is not.
Right, yeah. What's understood doesn't need to be spoken. So I don't care what you see my man with, he's still, and that's like a public declaration. It's almost like the anti-vow.
Right,
it's like I made up a new. It's like the anti-vow. Y'all know what it. We know what it is. We know what we be. And I'm like, this isn't. And because my mind, admittedly, I'm not judging. I'm just telling you that my mind is so far detached from that that I have a hard time grasping. I mean, literally, we used to joke about Netflix and chill. Now it's like Netflix and PICS. You know what I mean? Like people are joking. I'll be honest. If the inbox game was so weak and ineffective, it would have stopped a long time ago.
Exactly.
So somebody is sending a pic of their junk and getting some response. It's almost like a telemarketer. Like, if I send enough of these joints in one night, somebody go, I'm going to make a sale sooner or later.
3,000 friends. You just sent 1,000.
But it's not just one side. These are not just a bunch of, trench coat men.
Right.
Running around doing this to women. I know there's a lot of women that don't desire it, don't want it, not how they want to be approached. But let's just be honest. Somebody out there's got to be entertaining this, and vice versa. There's an idea. If the joke is out there, I don't want to talk to you. Just send me a picture of your breast. Blah blah. Send me a picture of your stuff. Apparently, behind every joke is a little bit of truth.
Oh yeah.
Apparently, you can send that and get a response from somebody.
Oh yeah.
And it ain't just kids in high school, and
you can get a response from them until you say you don't want to be with them no more. Then they're gonna put your junk on Facebook for everybody else to see.
But so I'm saying it seems like a mutually beneficial, at the same time being mutually detrimental situation. When the common culture, and it's old school. I mean, it's not even real. I know it's probably outdated. When literally saying come over. The Netflix joke, we're not even looking for nothing. This is what we're doing after so long. We're hooking up just for this. Call you a Uber. All the time. And we're in this culture. We're not even in this culture. We're married men, pastors, but we understand that is what surrounds the average person. And I would love to say, it's just a bunch of crazy 17 and 19-year-olds. It's like 50-some-year-old people still trying to.
Oh yeah.
Still got the drip emoticons, and I want a eggplant, and I mean looking at it like you're somebody's great grandma.
Everybody
eggplants on your Facebook page. Like what?
Everybody is all upset, and everybody loved, and we all watched the Surviving R. Kelly. But it's a million R. Kellys right here in Warren, Ohio.
Man, they used to park outside of Harding all the time. I know them like now. We had one come to the church one time. Remember we had.
Yeah. I had to kick him out. Yeah.
I said Jeff out there. I was like, Jeff, go handle that. Coming to see a girl, grown wanna be, old enough to be a grandpa, and so that's what I feel like that love, and again, I don't think you can blame the individuals because if they're older. They've probably been worked over more than once, like bunking, I'm going to get mine. Or, we forget that we still live in the results of a sexual revolution of just, everything is more out there. People feel like they've denied themselves pleasure. And can we jump to the other side, because we want to say that, people are just lustful and all this other stuff. But we feel like we might have watched a lot of repressed people.
Oh, yeah.
Like not live life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying there's not a right way to do it.
Right.
But like not live life. And, I'm so sick of the, old church. I lived like, what, in 1915? Like, what was you, I can't relate to this story. Or some of them just talk about how holy they were. And I never did this. It's the only man I ever been with. And after a while, any human would be like, that sounds kind of boring.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, it sounds kind of.
Exactly.
That sounds like, you trapped yourself for 65 years and, And now you want the rest of us to join you in hell. Right. You want the rest of us.
Half of them wasn't happy. But also to the other side that these back in the day it was don't buy the milk when you got the cow
for
or
free. Yeah.
But the fact you done bought the whole farm
the
now.
Farm.
you just having fun.
Exactly.
You just out there. And so there is no it seems to me there's no in between.
So we've jumped from one extreme to another.
Definitely. And so what happens is you have somebody who may want to live this life that their father lived in there. But it is hard to find somebody else who wants to do that.
So let me tell you about a personal thing that's not something I've, but it's something I've just think about. You see a very, let's say a nice, attractive, seems like you have a good personality, young lady, but obviously just the trail of destruction.
Right.
You just see a life that, God knows what you would open up that can of worms. You sit there and think to yourself, all right, anybody, myself, anybody. if I walked up to that person as a single man, saved man, nice car, house, and all that, would she even accept the stability and the fidelity that goes along with it? If the right, because remember, all of this mess, there's still this facade or this public, I'm waiting on Mr. Right, Mrs. Right, who's going to love me. We got females talking about no man wants to take me on a date. I'm not so sure nobody ever approached you and said, I'd like to take you out sometime.
Absolutely.
A lot of times you dog out the dude that wants to take you out sometime.
That's it right there.
And then the dude that just wants to knock you up a wall. You're actually giving him more time a day for whatever. I mean, I've watched it happen young and old. And yeah, a little dorky is sometimes pretty stable because they ain't got no other options.
Absolutely.
Take it from me. Like you gonna be faithful when you don't have a lot of options. I mean, you got to do something to attract them. You got to make some money or do something. Buy a Corvette. Do something. But I mean, it's hard to believe. And maybe somebody would have to, comment when we post this up and we do our little live and say. And I'm not going to say there's not a female out there who's getting just the craziness all day. I asked my wife one time, and you know how she can be. She's just chase church mother type. I used to ask, like, you're fine. You're pretty. How much do you get, like, hit on and dudes just following you around? Like, I'm sure if she went to the store with some tights on or something, she's going to get a stare or something. But she's like, no, not really. Not a whole lot. And I'm not trying to put her out there as like, well, you're an angel and you're perfect and the Lord protects you and all this old junk. I have to believe that there is some part in how we present ourselves.
Oh, definitely.
Some part. And this is not body shaming, dress shaming. I'm talking about personality, language, body language, what you're looking for. You got your eyes cut in two. They got their eyes. You walk into you know what I mean?
You know the stare. You know the look.
If I walk into a bar, I don't know who to look at, what to look at, how to look at them to get anybody. I wouldn't know. If I walk into a church, I know exactly who my brother is, who my sister is, who's related to me, who's off limits, who's this, who's that. You already kind of know. So I feel like people know their own context, but then when it doesn't work out, and the funny thing is, I think we're doing things that aren't designed to come to that end, that expectation we talk about, but we keep sort of chasing after it.
Absolutely.
Doing the wrong things.
Absolutely. Deion Cole, I was watching his special the other day.
I need to watch that.
I loved it. It was the greatest. It was hilarious.
I need a new comedian, so I need to check him out.
He was funny, but he said there's levels to this love thing.
Okay.
He said there's levels. He said, and what happens is, he said, you met this person on this level. This person was staying on this level, so you end up staying on the level with this person. And what happens is, you shouldn't have stayed on this level. Now you marrying him for life, and it was only supposed to be for a level.
Wow.
So that was
Deion Cole was preaching. Reverend Bishop Cole.
He said what you should have done was you should have said, I love you, I like you, you're a really nice person, but let me finish these levels first. I might be back. And so what happens is,
okay, I just left him there. I don't know. I might be back.
Well, what he's saying is,
if they're still at that level.
Yeah, if you're still at that level. What he said, so what happens is, so often we grab hold of people and we think they're good for us now, but they may not be good for us where we're going.
Some people aren't good for us the moment we meet them. I mean, let's just be honest. But they got the package. They can throw it down. Maybe they're giving you the attention you want for the moment. We got to stop acting like, and we'll talk about, social media another time fully, but how that has played into the image, just like you wanted to walk into the club with somebody on your arm at one point. Now you want to make sure that your Instagram ain't too dry without having some of them lovey-dovey filtered pics with somebody. You got to have your boo. You don't want to look like, or if it's not, you trying to play it off like, you might not see, in a relationship with a blank picture, and I'm not going to, just putting their picture on there is just going to instantly bring all the hoes out, to kind of, rob what's supposed to be yours, which is crazy, how people think so temporary, like nothing is truly theirs anymore. And maybe that's the expectation.
And a lot of it isn't. These don't mean very much. These don't.
It's
to
just a
society,
piece of metal. It's just a piece of metal.
They don't mean very much. They will talk to you right with this on.
Right.
And they will say, "Oh, so are you happy? You married, but are you happy?"
I have made that a part of my marriage vow, like my speech when I'm doing weddings. It's like, this really is just a piece of metal. It might be a very, very expensive piece of metal. It could be, a quarter machine piece of metal. Right. At the end of the day, the worth comes from you.
Absolutely.
You know, the words coming. This is not like a magic, you know, ping, like block all the people. I see you
Ain't the
coming.
Green Lantern ring.
Right. You can't just like block all the lust and people won't look at you because they see it. And the funny thing is, sometimes it makes you a bigger prize.
Oh, definitely.
It makes you a bigger prize. Like, I mean, you know, who bought her that rock? Let me see if I can, you know, up in that. You know, that man's too fine to be married. You know, it's.
And here's the thing. Here. Can I tell you ladies something? Can I tell you ladies something? Stop telling all your private issues and all that stuff to your girlfriends, because so
they are
often
taking notes.
Right, you are training your replacement.
Ooh.
You are training your replacement.
Ooh.
Be careful telling them, you know, what
they
they
the
don't
gaps.
like.
They about to fill all the gaps.
And
what you won't do, what you won't do, he won't this, and I won't.
Baby,
listen,
I want to do
all the things. Joe didn't write that song.
I wrote it.
Joe, no. Pastor Jeff has struck again. Pastor Jeff, I think a female wrote that song for him.
True.
I mean, because it just sounds like, you know, like you said, that sort of, I'll try to get in where I can fit in, and some people don't mind sharing.
Ooh.
Some people,
Well,
and that's not even new.
It ain't.
Old school people was like, yeah, he's messing around, and people know he's being a dog out there, but he's still coming home to me. You know, that's still I've literally listened to people say that. You know, that at the end of the day, I'm like, and I don't know how healthy that is for generations behind who watch that pain and watch that, you know, all of that go on. And they're still holding that banner up like this is the ideal. And you got people looking like, is it?
Right.
Are you sure this is what I'm shooting for?
They're saying they're literally saying I won because he's coming home. No, you didn't win.
Right. Didn't I tell you no cell phones in church?
Amen.
No.
It was never mind.
So people have changed, love has changed, and it's changed expectations, right. and I guess you could say the processes that we get there. You know, we've gone from dating, puppy love, can I take you out to WYD at 2:00 in the morning? You know, what you doing?
Well,
pretty much.
Mm-hmm. That's all it takes is what you doing.
You know what you do, and all you got to do is poke and prod a little bit, make somebody laugh,
mm-hmm.
and you pulling up somewhere.
That's it.
And that's a reality.
And the funny thing is, you know, they know what you coming for. You know what you coming for. It's not there's
Wham,
no
bam.
games here.
Thank you, ma'am.
You know, and sometimes that's what people like.
Right.
You know, I don't like the games. I don't want to be.
I'd rather know what this is.
Yeah, I want to know what it is. Let's be upfront about it.
I think some people wish they could just have that arrangement, be upfront about it. You know, that's why Backpage, that's why Craigslist.
I don't know nothing about those.
Oh, you know, shut it down. You're lying like it. But that's why they took off the way they did, because people were just looking for what they wanted.
Right. It's
incredibly
supply and
dangerous
demand.
to end up with a
supply
killer.
and demand.
I mean, end up with the Joker showing up at your house.
Right.
But I know what I want. You know, just make sure it's safe or whatever, and get on with my life and go to work. You know, and do it's like eating a meal. You know, I'm hungry. I want, you know, da. So I think that's something we have to wrestle with, because we're trying to hold this standard up, and we'll talk about where that goes later on and how we sort of wrestle through this to get people to the ideal. Right. But that is religiously incorrect.
It is.
That I could sit here and spit scriptures at you. I could sit here and say this is what it ought to be. But before you tell somebody what it ought to be, you got to first look at what it is.
It is.
And this is what it is, with no judgment, you know, no putting down. But, you know, the numbers don't lie. Facebook show ain't lying. My timeline ain't lying.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
And I think that we just have to wrestle with that, you know, and continue to try to show the best models we possibly can show. So this is Religiously Incorrect with the first of a series on love and marriage.
Check us out.
Make sure you follow us on all of our online platforms, YouTube, our Facebook page. We want subscribers. We want you to like us. If you want to listen by audio, there are multiple podcast platforms. If you listen to a podcast on it, we're probably there.
Yes, sir.
So find us. Go to religiouslyincorrectpodcast.com, and we look forward to hitting you up next time. I'm Pastor Todd. This is Pastor Jeff. Y'all take care. Kinda left me hanging on the segue. I was pointing at you to say that Pastor Jeff. Yes. Pastor Todd. Jeff is like, I'm hanging you out to dry.